Sometimes, to be the best challenge runner you can be, you have to go back to your roots. Play a game from your childhood you have fond memories over, and pick a challenge to let the skills you've had since you first held a controller take root. And so today, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, I ask the question:
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
can you beat Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom without double jumping? It's a platformer from the early to mid 2000s, so of course there's a double jump. But let's be real here, double jumps are unrealistic. I mean, you just jump again? On what? There's nothing there to propel you upwards. So rule 1, no double jumps. This is easiest to tell for me by the sound effect. And visually, for you and me, since the animations look quite a bit different. That's all the rules. Pretty self-explanatory. I also decided not to collect any golden underwear, which boosts my max HP by 1, simply because I like a good challenge. So one intro cutscene later, we're right into the game. I jump around SpongeBob's house to get the money for the doors, having no real issue, even being able to activate every button in the library, but we already come across a problem. I'm expected to double jump along these platforms in the library to get across and grab Patrick's sock, but I can't do that. And though I tried, I don't think angling my launch will get me the sock, so that's both one sock and one spatula permanently locked away. Though I am able to acquire the spatula to leave the house no problem, and enter Bikini Bottom proper. And then I decided to head straight onto the first level, Jellyfish Fields. Just get things moving quickly. Once arriving and relishing in Squidward's misery, I begin racking up money and finding my first of many Patrick socks. Once crossing the newly constructed bridge, I find myself unable to do even the most basic actions, like jumping onto this 2 stack of tikis, or climbing onto this platform with the button. SpongeBob does have a ledge hang animation, but it doesn't work with every platform, and even then, not every ledge can be dangled off of. Trucking ahead regardless, I complete the bungee jump mission 100% in a single bounce, before moving on to the second section of the map. More carnage and enemies are to be found here, but they don't scare me much. No, what scares me are gaps, because even this one here is too large for a single sponge jump to cross, so when I accidentally destroyed the tiki, I had to die to get it back and get the shiny object. Thanks to the bouncy mushroom things, I clear the gap over to the second sock of the game, no real issues there, and then I'm sent back to tackle the last enemy group of this map. They pose even less threat than my crippling self-doubt, so I kick their butts and grab my third spatula, before moving on to Area 2. Area 2 kicks off with a super fun sliding segment on my way to back up Patrick. I collect the sock on the slide, but the single jump isn't high enough to reach the one on the pillar. And we're stuck. Yes, already. We need to hit 3 separate buttons in order to create a path, and the problem is that the third one requires a double jump to reach and press. Plus, it's not even like all 3 are required, but each one raises a platform. No, it's all or nothing. All buttons, or no platforms. I tried a few things, like doing a head raiser into a slam, or head raising into a swing, but the slam doesn't have a large enough hitbox to hit it, and the swing comes out too late. That's bad. Returning to Bikini Bottom, since I need 2 more spatulas to reach the next level, I do some cleaning up I should have done earlier. Collect the 2 socks from Patrick, the sock and spatula from Squidward, and I'm 1 short. So I return back to the fields to grind for money. If I can destroy the 2 hammer and 1 rod robot all at once, I earn a tidy 75 shiny object reward. Yeah, it's slow, but legit, this is the best we can do for now. Already being in such a tight spot so early is not a great look for me, to be honest. Once I collect the money and trade it to Mr. Krabs, I remember that there's a spatula on top of SpongeBob's house, so I feel stupid. Regardless, now I have 6 spatulas and can move on to the next level, downtown Bikini Bottom. My main mission for this level is collecting wheels, so I grab 2 right out of the gate by grabbing this one here, and head bashing to get this one a little early. Heading off to the right, I get a little bit of money for an important purchase in this stage, and find another sock right around the corner. However, just down the block, I find yet another challenge that seems way harder than you'd imagine. this rolling ramp to reach the last half of the stage. You're supposed to roll, bounce off the car, and then double jump to land safely, but I can't do that. Thankfully, after a couple of attempts, I managed to build up enough speed to cross the gap, then continue cleaning up the streets of Bikini Bottom, opening new paths to make sure I don't need to do this again, and grabbing another wheel for Mrs. Puff. Around this lighthouse is another challenge for another sock, requiring balancing on slidey floating platforms. It's tough, I will admit, but I am able to clear it by leaning the platform one way, then rushing and launching myself up and onto the sock platform, scoring us yet another sock for Pat. It just requires a bit of timing to make sure that the platforms line up in a specific way I like. Around that corner, I buy the ticket to open the path to the Sky Needle to partake in some bungee jumping action. But, problem. The hook is too far for Sponge to get. Tartar sauce. That goes for all of them, by the way. Every single hook is out of Sponge's range, meaning the only reason I came here was for the 2 wheels for the Puff. Not even Sandy can access them, since she literally can't, but also because her rope lasso glide is tied to the jump button. After your double jump, meaning straight up can't use that. Like, at all. I can't even platform across the windows to get the sock early, since her basic jump isn't strong enough. This is starting to look bad. Back in the city proper, I'm smacked right in the face as I'm told by the universe how dumb this was, as the next set of challenges are quite literally impossible. They were designed to show off Sandy's abilities, which we can't use. Heck, to even get up to the character changing station, we need to hop on the rod connecting the platform to the building, since the platform itself is too high for Sponge to reach, and then ledge grab onto the building and climb up that way. No way, no how, are we completing this mission. Meaning, once again, all we have to show for it is a single wheel. And also the last wheel we can get. That's right, this stage got me nothing. Even if I used the cannon fire to destroy the towers, pressed all 4 buttons, and spawned the spatula on top of the statue, I couldn't get up to grab it. I can get close. I can jump off the exploding tiki to land on the base, hop onto this leg, and then onto the tin can lid, but a single jump cannot make it onto the head. And I can't ledge climb, meaning once again it's time to grind. The cannon around the statue can blow up the tiki towers, rewarding me with 175 shiny objects, more if they or I combo into another tower or one of the robot dogs, rewarding, at minimum, 720 shiny objects. And I can reset this by just dying, meaning all I have to do is repeat this around, subtracting how much money I had at the start, 53-ish times? It was a lot, and it was boring. But with all that done, I can give all 39,500 shiny objects to Mr. Krabs and get 7 more spatulas, giving me access to Goo Lagoon. Starting things off, and I'm already stuck. A single jump cannot make it from platform 1 to 2, let alone 2 to 3, meaning once again, Spongebob is proven to be white, because this man has 0 ups. Luckily, I can circumvent this. By leaping around and past step 2, I land in the water, which will knock me up and backwards in an attempt to put me back on solid ground. With careful placement and spinning my wand to cancel my momentum, I can land on the middle platform and repeat it once again to get access to the final platform and the level proper. I almost immediately die, but a checkpoint saves me from going insane. More insane. I start turning the lasers around to aim at the main objective, in case I ever get there, and while the jump to get to the tiny island is tight, it is possible, as long as I build up a bit of momentum before jumping. I head over to the second part of the island, and realize just how terrible this is going to be. I need to head bash 5 children's balloons to set them free. Quite a few of them are out of reach because my terrible jump height, like balloon number 2. And not only can I not reach him, I can't reach a platform near him, and he's laughing at me. I take a moment to calm my nerves by collecting my 9th sock on top of the shack near Mrs. Puff, before I start running around to see what I can find. When I get a very important idea. Patrick can throw stone rocks, which stay where they were thrown when swapping to Spongebob, only being reset when I die. I can use this. I place 2 stones on the staircase, no matter how scuffed the throwing could be, which, when combined with the rotating platform I can head bash, I can reach the first platform the child floats over, letting me head bash his balloons and save him. The second one I hit by walking along the edge of the level, then hopping onto the shifting pole, then just waiting for him to float near me, as well as the very first one, meaning I only have the two on the lake itself. I hop onto the umbrella to even begin crossing the platforms towards the other two kids, and often have to build up momentum to cross any gaps, and hug the edges of some when I really should be falling. Kid 4 isn't too hard, since the only challenge is landing on the platforms and waiting for him to wander into me. The final child is terrible to get, straight up. Moving from farthest to closest, the child floats over platforms that are too spread out for me to really reach, so I only have 1 or 2 platforms to hit the child. Then it gets worse because the platforms sink, meaning if I take too long to line up the head bash, I sink too low to even hit them and have to die to reset. Then it gets worse because to even get to the sinking platforms, it requires clearing a volleyball net, which can only be cleared by a precise jump to land on the net, and then leaping onto the next platform. Then it gets worse because the platform behind the net sinks as well, meaning I could very easily sink too low to get over to the volleyball net, making it impossible for me to get to the area with the child, forcing me to retreat to a bouncing platform and wait until the platform rises from the waters again. Eventually, I figure out that I need to sit on the net until the patterns line up, and once he moves in a way I like, I can immediately run over and pop his balloons, completing the quest. Though, since I never activated the quest, I have to hop over to the box on Sandcastle Island to warp back to the beginning to get the reward. Now, we're stuck. The next mission requires jumping on platforms that drop out from beneath me as the water rises, and I can survive the water by leaping onto this fat guy and just bouncing on him until the water lowers once again, and this also has the effect of making it so I no longer have to press the button, since the door that button opens is just gone now. But the problem is that the gap between the second set of falling platforms is too far, meaning I can't jump them normally. And even when the water is at its highest, the fat guy can't bounce me up to the platforms, so that's another path I can't go down, meaning I can't access the latter half of this map. So what am I supposed to do? The staircase of tikis could work to getting on top of the sandcastle if there wasn't an exploding one, since I can't get high enough to jump to the sandcastle before it explodes and destroys my staircase. So, is that it? Is it over? Is there anything I can even do? Yes. But what is my strategy? I'll tell you. Umbrella boosting. The umbrellas in this map spin whenever you smack them, and because of how funky the game's engine is, we can use this. Smack the umbrella, watch it spin, hop on top, then jump again. With the right timing, you'll be launched way into the air. This is very finicky, and I sometimes could barely get it to work, but eventually, I land on the castle itself. And despair, because even though I made it, I can't reach onto the part with the sock without a double jump. Not even walking as close as possible and launching myself with a head bash gets me close enough to pick up the sock. I'm going to need to get a launch good enough to launch me up high enough and right enough to land atop the tower with the sock. I spent a long time doing this, to the point I turned the music and sound effects off because they were starting to drive me absolutely crazy. I eventually get a bit insane as I start wondering if I could grab the topmost tiki from the tower and throw it before they exploded with Patrick in order to place it atop the tower to give me a little boost. Even tried Umbrella boosting Patrick, but that wasn't really giving me any better results than with Spongebob. I tried using wooden tikis, but they break immediately. I tried breaking the tiki wall at the castle gates into a staircase to see if that could be something, but it wasn't, so that was basically worthless. Then came my next idea of taking a stone from the mainland and bringing it all the way over to the sandcastle, but that won't work since Patrick can't clear the jump from Pillar 1 to Pillar 2. But I did have an idea. Perhaps I could build a staircase near that spot to the higher section over here. There's a golden spatula across the platform, so I might be able to build up to climb over, but it would require more than the 3 the game gives me in this spot. So, I backtracked. I backtracked throughout the level, babysitting the statues to ensure that nothing happened to them, even going all the way back over to Larry and where the Reflecting Mirrors quest started to get more statues. But eventually, I was able to make a beautiful staircase. It was so pretty. But ultimately pointless. Patrick can make it to the platforms, but he can't make it across this jump right here, meaning I need Spongebob here. But if I switch, the button unpresses itself. I'll have to come back later, I guess. I also tried the leaping across the towers challenge, using a stone tiki I carried to give me enough height to leap onto the towers, but I couldn't make it to the second to last tower. That jump was just too far. But then, I did it. I found a place to get my 15th spatula. Way back in the Sea Needle, there's a mission to clear all 3 of the available bungee sections with Spongebob, but I can't reach the hooks. Or can I? The answer is a resounding yes, actually, and it's all thanks to the broken glass sticking out of the wall, because they have collision. SpongeBob can land on them like normal, and with a well-aimed jump, I can initiate the first bungee section, the second one, and the third. Though I did have to redo it after dying and leaving SpongeBob dangling on a rope like a Dead by Daylight killer, but yes, this is entirely possible double jumpless, meaning I can earn my 15th spatula and unlock the first boss fight, and hopefully, the second area of Bikini Bottom. Yeah, the boss fight was turbo easy, especially since dodging Robo Sandy's slam attack knocks you into the air, letting you do your ground pound move to unveil her weakness for entirely free, and Patrick's section didn't require anything else. Once I'm free in the second area, I run into Shady Souls to grab the sock from in there, and bring it to Pat for my very first Patrick spatula. Right after, I go pick up the sock for smacking the statue, then actually manage to make it across the platforms to reach the roof of Shady Souls and pick up another spatula. I also cleared out Sandy's treehouse fairly easily, rewarding me with spatula number 19. Then, after going for a quick run, because I confused Revenge of the Flying Dutchman for this game, a mistake nobody else has ever made, I decided it's finally time to head down to the Mermalair. The Mermalair should be a pretty easy level for us, with very minimal platforming required, but we'll see. Fun fact, if you hop down here to deal with the spawning robot, you can't make the jump back up, so it's a one-way trip. I climb up relatively easily to grab the very first spatula of the undersea lair, before moving on to the large room to reach the computer. The left wall button isn't too hard to reach, neither is the one for the right wall, but this does lead me right into the side room with Mermaid Man, completing his quest of press 3 buttons with a melon with relative ease. Hug the left wall on the first path, throw the fruit twice for the second path, and while the third path is a bit trickier, I got it on my second try after I had a very stupid death. Another spatula down as I launch myself to help Barnacle Boy in an even easier challenge. You have to flip all these things so they're facing the right direction, but this can be solved by just hitting the buttons in a row. They'll all eventually face the correct way, and I can get another spatula. I can also collect the sock floating above the spinning platform, since Pat's ramp starts high enough for him to reach it. Crossing the bridge is a bit of an issue, but not that big, meaning I can reach the Mermalair's computer, get another spatula, and hit the second of 4 buttons, the first being down by Barnacle Boy. Down in the security tunnel, most of my time is spent waiting for the lights to let me through, or dying for money that I really don't need anymore. I can't help it, I'm greedy. Once I pass through Vietnam, I press the third button, grab another spatula, and attempt this platforming challenge, but I can't make it to the second platform. Ah well, it's mostly fine, just another sock I can't get, but that's not too bad. Then we get to the rolling ballroom, an infamous room that I can't do. Not because I don't have the skills to do this room, but the last few parts of the challenge require a double jump to access, so I can't do it. Not that I can't do it. I can hit the last security reset button, which gives me access to yet another spatula, and a boss fight against this prawn dude. He shoots out a lot of waves, and for the most part can be annoying to deal with, especially with his ads, but I eventually found out that you can just head bash at the right moment to go over his attack, and since he moves past you, you can land and do it again to avoid damage. Hit him with the bowling ball 3 times, and the fight is over, meaning one last spatula to add to my collection. A nifty one if you ask me, since I got all but 1 of the 8 Mermalair spatulas, and 1 of the 4 accessible socks. Can't win them all. 26 spatulas is also enough to access the next level, Rock Bottom. Rock Bottom is going to be a difficult level, not only because of the new enemy introduced here, being a guy you have to sneak up on, otherwise he'll blast you with a laser, but considering the bottomless canyons everywhere, jumping is definitely a focal point. It takes me a couple of tries to get across this gap even, partially because I'm used to jumping across them instead of sneaking, but also because this one dude sacrificed his life for the cause and killed me, even if it took him out as well. Noble robot aside, I just respawned and kept moving along. After potentially being the first person to ever be grabbed by Hans while in a totally normal running animation, I get across and find myself blocked by a jump that's too high. Uh-oh. I can't jump onto the nearby rock, and I can't jump on the nearby platforms, and while I thought I would have to be hit up here by the Sleepy Time robot, I did find a seam where the sponge can stand and leap over to start exploring rock bottom proper. Uh-oh. A sandy level. I activate the Texas symbols for Sandy to use as I go along, as well as finding a sock left down off the edge of a cliff. Once all that is accomplished, I open the path to progress and start the speedster time challenges to reach the rooftops, avoid getting cannoned like the Headless Horseman, and climb up these toothbrushes and... Oh no, I can't reach this spot. I can't reach the rooftops. My wall jump momentum is too strong to angle myself onto the brush, and no amount of momentum building will let me ledge grab it. There's gotta be something though, right? I found a slide I can slide down that leads me nowhere, but I found another sock. I just need 6 more to get a spatula. And that's it. Run's officially dead. Not that I enjoy saying that, but no, you can't beat the game without double jumping. Maybe you could do some finagling somewhere. The button near the museum seemed promising, but I couldn't get anything working in a way that would progress me. Maybe if this guy hits you as you rise, it could be finagled, but I can't make progress anymore there. I even looked back through earlier levels, and the only thing I could do was rebuild the staircase to let Spongebob try the bouncing platforms in Goo Lagoon. Standing on this rock here lets me throw a bubble ball and hit the button, and his jumps, combined with his mid-air spin, can actually cross the gaps and make it to the spatula, but that's about it. I would need 26 more socks to get to the next level, Sand Mountain, and despite a lot of time trying in other levels, I can't make any more progress. Some things I tried were using my bowling ball to activate the button in Goo Lagoon, but that auto-teleports you to the same spot every time. Then I tried preserving my mid-air twirl by hopping off the fat guy and onto the tower, before jumping back onto him, but even at the peak of the lagoon water, and at the edge of him, I can't make it to the platform, meaning no more progress there. I did go back to Jellyfish Fields and get the bowling sock, and I spent a long time trying to hit this button to get taken out there, but the ball just couldn't hit it. I don't know if the model is there, but the code isn't since I'm far away, or if bubble balls can't hit ground pound switches, just like how ground pounds can't hit wall switches, or if it's just a pixel perfect throw. Regardless, I couldn't get it. I also couldn't get the bowling ball to bounce up and hit the double jump button in Patrick's Dilemma back in Jellyfish Fields, and I even tried getting the spatula atop the statue in downtown Bikini Bottom, but that failed since his arm doesn't have collision, and I can't ledge grab onto his hat, so that spatula is a bust. I did consider turning this into a minimum double jump challenge, seeing how many were required to beat the game, but I realized that that was just not going to happen either. My whole plan was banking off being able to reach Sand Mountain, since I had planned on that being the run saver, and while I did get Patrick's Dilemma with only 1 jump, that didn't save me much since shortly into the cave, I'm railroaded again by what I can only assume is at least 2 double jumps. Then I ran to complete the rolling ball challenge after a few attempts. Then I grabbed the one atop the statue's hat for the 30th, and what I thought would be the savior, only to find out that every single mountain on Sand Mountain is impossible without double jumps. Meaning not only is the initial slide challenge impossible, but the time challenge is as well. And the only other 2 missions here require double jumping to start, or double jumping to reach. So what I thought would be the savior of the run was in fact a ruse. Still, 27 spatulas isn't terrible, to be honest. I didn't even think that I would clear the first zone. Maybe one day I'll do a minimum just to see how comical a minimum jump challenge is with like 20 plus minimum jumps. But for now, I must bear the mantle of a challenge run that I could not beat. Genuinely a shame, but alas, what is a sponge to do? I've got a few other ideas for challenge runs that could be fun for this game, and a few for others, so if you'd like to see those when they come out, don't forget to subscribe. And hey, if you enjoyed this, consider hooking a like my way, as a thank you for proving just how reliant PS2 platformers were on that darn physics-defying double jump. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you nerds! Wait, we're underwater. Dumbo jumping is just swimming.